Does anyone have any questions from the first week? I did obviously post to say if there's anything that anyone would like to talk about. Don't be shy, because I know a few of you have been messaging me privately, but you've been asking similar questions to people in the group. So I do try and encourage people to post in the group for a number of reasons. One being, obviously, a lot of you cover the same question. To encourage us to get involved and help each other out, because I'm only, like I said, I'm only one person. All my meals that I put together and things like that are based off my experience, but you will find tips and tricks yourselves that I've not found. Like Emma posted a box of Fulfill protein bars. I've never had one of them in my life. So things like that will make things easier for yourselves. But does anyone have any questions? Don't be shy in speaking up. No questions. So I'm assuming you don't need me for the next 8 weeks then, and we can just finish this one here. No, we're good then. Go on, Becky, speak up.
I'll ask a question.
Go on, Becky, be brave.
So, I think previously I've done keto, and I think what I've realised is I need to get out that mindset, because actually it doesn't work. So I kept on having like nuts as snacks, and then realising my fat was going really high, and I was like, right, okay. And so I think for me it's like, I don't think I really understand the importance of protein. I don't think I've bought into that, and I'll get through it, right? But the protein powder is disgusting, right? And I've tried a few of them. I was really enjoying my breakfast. I was having like the yogurt with some berries, a couple of seeds. I was really like going, yeah, I was properly enjoying it. As soon as I started adding protein powder into it, I'm like, this is just vile, and I'm just getting through it because it's that synthetic. It just, yeah. I don't really like any sort of processed stuff that much. So I think that kind of, I don't know. So I'd love to know how to get your protein up without having to do that, because I think the only way for me is that you have to basically put that in your breakfast at some point.
And I completely get that. And whey protein is obviously a great source of protein. People say that it's like synthetic. It is a natural great source of protein. So like the reason why whey protein is good, it's like 80% protein, whereas a lot of other, so you get like 80 grams of protein per 100 grams when it comes to whey protein, compared to say like a chicken breast, which is about 20-25. So supplement, I understand why people supplement it, but I actually do it for flavor. But a simple way of upping your protein is, if you are having, for example, yogurt for breakfast, pick a lower fat alternative yogurt. So rather than having like natural yogurt or 5% or 10% fat yogurt, have 0% fat. And this is going to sound so simple, but if you're having 100 grams of yogurt, take that up to 150 or 200 grams of yogurt. And it's the same when it comes to like chicken. If you're really struggling to get protein in your lunch and you're having 100 grams of chicken, such a simple way to do it is take that up to 125 grams or 150 grams. And like, you're probably thinking, well, that sounds too simple, but it's just an easy way. And then there are other sort of options for whey, for protein supplements now. Like you do have, it's My Protein Clear Whey. They do like a juice. So they've got like watermelon flavor, Vimto, what's peach iced tea. So they've got loads, which a lot of people do. And I get quite a few people who struggle to hit protein and their water to tie that in together. I'll just say like have 500 ml of water with a scoop of protein. So it's like, feels like they're having a juice. But today's call is mainly all around hitting protein, why it's important, etc., etc. And we're building it. So just so people get an understanding, these calls will probably be in the region of 30 to 45 minutes. And I do try and wrap them up in 30 minutes, not because I want to get you all off the call as quick as I can, but it's more because get you the information you need, don't overwhelm you, give you the knowledge that you want, so you've got it to understand and put into your own practice, because people will switch off and people will start looking at their phone, etc. in between. And we want to try and keep everyone interested with giving them the right information. So I'm going to start with protein and why it's important. The reason hitting your protein target is important is because it aids recovery, first and foremost. it's the most satiating nutrient, which means it keeps you the most full. And also it's the thermogenic effect of food. So when you eat protein, so say for example, you eat 100 calories of protein, by the time it's digested, it only comes down to 70 calories. So it almost takes 30 calories to burn through that 100 calories of protein. So you're getting more bang for your buck when you have a higher protein diet on a diet, because you're keeping full for less calories in such. And then you've got like the other effects, like I was saying, of like muscle recovery, etc., etc. There are other factors for protein, such as like stronger hair, stronger nails, but I can't really obviously comment on the hair front, but my nails are on fleek. So we'll have to go with that. But like I said, there's hundreds and hundreds of benefits, but my job is more to give you the understanding of why we do it for a diet. But if you do have any questions, or is anything you feel you want to learn more on, then please do let me know. So like I said, the main things that you need to think about for protein, just think protein helps keep you full. It means you get more bang for your buck in terms of calories, and it's going to optimize your recovery from a diet. So the next thing is obviously, how do you get your protein in a day, and what are the best ways to get your protein in? And it's, if you think, and we're using numbers here, if you structure your meals and you plan ahead, like I think there was a few of you I commented, like use the guidance in the welcome pack, plan ahead, structure meals. So if we're using a structure, we know we eat 4 meals a day. Let's say 3 main meals: your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and your snack. So you've got 100 grams of protein to hit. You know, if you're getting in and around 25 grams of protein in your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, you've got to find a snack that's in and around 25 grams of protein. And that's probably one of the easiest ways to look at your diet and think, right, what area do I need most support with in getting my protein? If you stick to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you don't have any snacks, you're now looking for a meal in and around 33 grams of protein per meal sitting. And when it comes to snacks, I see a lot of people obviously have protein bars, protein shakes, and it's like, oh my God, that I can't have a snack unless it's got protein in. If you've hit your 100 grams of protein through your main meals, and you want to have a snack which is non-protein, like proper corn, pop chips, fruit, bagel thins, whatever it may be, then that's absolutely fine. Your snacks don't have to be protein. When it comes to, like, you've probably seen it, the nutritional pyramid, it's like, what's the most important thing for the day? And it's like total protein over the day. Then it comes down to like sources of protein. Then it comes down to like timings of protein, and then proteins per sitting. So through ELIMIN8, the only thing I really care about is total protein over the day. So does anyone, and then what I would say, sorry, when it comes into, once you found that structure for hitting your protein per sitting, then you start think, right, start each meal sitting with a source of protein. So if we think, when it comes to breakfast, your main sources when you think of protein are probably like eggs and yogurts. And if you think, what would I have for breakfast, it's probably along the lines of eggs, oats, or yogurt. So obviously oats do have a tiny bit of protein in it, but that's not the main source of oats. It's your carbs. And that's when you start adding in like the protein powders, etc., Becky. But you can have that as like as a supplement, as like a shake on the side, or obviously people do add in things like 0% fat Greek yogurt into their oats, 1, to make it creamier, and 2, to obviously bump up the protein. And then when it comes to like eggs, and you're trying to sort of macro hit your carbs and your fats, an easy way to do that and get a higher sort of portion of protein to like your carbs and your fats is removing some of the yolks. It's like, or when you have yogurt, turn it into like 0% fat yogurt rather than 5% fat. And that's you starting each meal sitting with your protein. So for example, we're like, right, I'm going to have chicken for lunch. And on, like, if we were sort of maintaining, this is sort of how I look at it, when you're maintaining a diet, for example, let's just use the most generic bodybuilding fitness idea we can. We have chicken, rice, and broccoli for your meal. When you're maintaining weight, you might have 150 grams of chicken, you might have half a bag of rice, and you might have your broccoli. What you would do on a sort of diet is you would potentially remove the rice and swap it for salad. So therefore you're getting more satiety through your vegetables and making sure you're still getting your protein and your micronutrients. When you're, say, like going the other way and you're out of a diet and you may be potentially trying to put on weight, you'd bump that rice up to a full bag. And that's your main source of protein there hasn't changed. It's 150 grams, whether you're on a diet or whether you're not on a diet. And that's also why it's quite important to hit protein, because whether you're trying to maintain weight, lose weight, or put on weight, your protein should not change. When you're sort of training and whether it be like workouts, running, etc., your protein will always be in and around double your weight in kg, which for most of you it is. If you notice, you probably say, for example, you were 70 kg, your protein probably 140 grams. So if you get really, really good at that, it will never ever change. And that's why we focus on that. And then the only thing you ever need to sort of focus on is on how to hit your carbs and your fat. So the best way is like decide what source of proteins you like. The best way to do it on a diet is stick to like 3 or 4. So for example, I would pick like chicken, 5% fat beef mince, 0% fat Greek yogurt, and whey protein. I would try and build the baseline of my main meals around that. Once I've got that nailed, that's when you start being a little bit flexible. Say, for example, I don't fancy chicken for lunch, I would change that for tuna and then if my chicken lunch was 400 calories with 30 grams of protein, I've just got to change that for a tuna-based dish for 400 calories, 30 grams of protein. Does that make sense? Yes? We all good?
Yeah, that's really useful, actually.
Yeah, good. So like it, obviously, if I'm talking in terms that make sense to me, remember I do this 50 to 60 times a week talking about protein and how to hit protein. So it might come naturally for me to talk about things. If it doesn't make sense to you, please speak up. You won't be the only one. But it's basically reverse engineering everything you do. A lot of people will be like, right, I want this for lunch. And it's like you pick a salad and then you sort of like be like, right, I'll add my protein in at the end. Or the best way to do it is like start with your protein, pick your fruit and veg. So for example, if we're talking like, let's just go a salad for dinner, a salad for lunch and a stir fry for dinner. If you were to put a carb source with one of them, you'd probably be able to, it's a lot easier to put more veg in your salad and then add your carbs to your rice. So you almost go right, protein, fruit and veg with every meal. And then once you've nailed that, you look at your sort of macros and be like, right, what have I got left? I've got, let's say, 50 grams of carbs left, half a bag of rice is 50 grams. I'm going to have that with my lunch rather than have it with my dinner, or vice versa. I know I'm having dinner with the family tonight. My dinners tend to be a lot heavier when I have them with the family. They tend to be more carb-based because I need to make sure everyone's fueled up. So I'll probably opt for a higher carb dinner over higher carb lunch. But you base that in and around your protein, and then you can swap the sources in and around. So for example, like I usually have all my carbs in and around my lunch because that's the time I train when I'm on a diet. But if I know I'm out for dinner, I'll put a side of veg or salad with my lunch and save my carbs for my dinner. But it's so easy interchangeable for me because I know my protein source and my veg doesn't really change. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Good. Next thing to mainly talk about is on a diet is tracking. Has anyone had any issues with tracking, found it overwhelming, found it taking them longer than they thought it would? No?
No, it's all fine.
Good. So one thing I would say... Yes, mate.
Yeah, mate. Hi, everyone. This is my first call. Logan advised I joined today. So, yeah, hi. I'm definitely in that category, Logan. I really struggle. And I don't know whether it's just because I struggle to find the time or, other things are happening. But throughout the day, I really do struggle to track, which, sets me back every week. So any tips and hints that you can give me to, get the momentum to keep tracking would be very helpful.
Right. And this does not mean you have to eat the same thing every single breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack for the rest of your life. But what I do say is stick to what you know. So if you have a busy schedule, you're someone who finds it hard to, one, put meals together, two, track your food, it becomes a job of what do you know works well for you. And I'm not sure if Emily's on the call. I can't see everyone who's on the call, but someone I spoke to today, it's about having what I call a fallback diet. So a fallback diet is basically what I would call your safe haven diet, your something you revert back to. So as you probably know, probably posted about it enough this week on my Instagram, but I've obviously just been in Dubai. So the first thing, like coming straight off the back of my holiday, going straight back into the gym, a busy week. I start work I've got to be in the gym for 6 o'clock. So I don't really have time to get up in the morning, track all my food, and obviously make sure I've cooked it all. So what I do is I go back to what I like to call my fallback diet. And it's any time I've had a busy schedule, or I know I'm like extremely short on time, I go back to, like, for me, it's oats for breakfast, chicken fajita salad for lunch, bolognese for dinner, yogurt and protein shakes as snacks. And it's not the most exciting dinner in the world. If anyone's followed me on Instagram for a little while, they'll probably see I've posted it multiple times. And it's for them busy weeks, it just helps you track and it helps you know what to tick off. So what I'm trying to get at there, Charlie, is like, I know my breakfast is 350 calories. I know my lunch is 450. I know my dinner is 400. I know my Greek yogurt snack's 250. Like, I've done it that many times, that meal, and I've tracked it that often that I can tick that off day after day, week after week, anytime I need it. So if I don't have time to make my chicken fajita lunch, for example, I know it's 450 calories. So I can go get any lunch in the world, whatever I fancy, as long as it's 450 calories, and it will not affect me. So I know, for example, like say a wrap from Taste, for those, I think everyone in here is from Jersey. Last time I had a couple of people from the UK. I'll go to Taste and get a wrap. I'd say a wrap from Taste without all, obviously, the cheese, etc., is in and around 450 calories. So that's a like for like. And it's the same as if I was to go get a lunch and I didn't have time to my breakfast, and I didn't make time for porridge in the morning, I'd go pick up a breakfast that's 350 calories. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And you would pick the options that you know. And it's like, so people, I'll probably get slagged saying this, what I was saying at the start is, can you eat the same thing every day? And most coaches or most people would say that you shouldn't eat the same thing every day. But for short periods of time, if it helps you to understand tracking and putting things in, there is no issue, especially if you have a range in your diet. Like, I eat six times a day. I can't change up every single meal every single day, because I would need, no one check my maths, I'd need 7 times 6 different meals. What's that? Is that 35, 42? 35, isn't it? 42. I'd need 42 different meals a week if I was constantly changing it up. So it's like there's no issue with changing it. So, for example, I'm not sure if anyone on the call's got any kids, but is something I do quite often for them is, like, if you know you've got a family and you know your dinner's changing every single night, then the best thing to do is have some staples in your diet, have a similar sort of breakfast, similar sort of lunch, and then that enables you to put a range for your dinner. So, for example, like if you had oats for breakfast, chicken salad for lunch, and then your dinner, you rounded your dinner off, as long as it's 400 to 500 calories, you're never going to be too far away from hitting your target. Some days over the 7 days, say, for example, you had 3 days at 400, 3 days at 500, and your dinner was meant to be in and around 450 calories, it will be fine. If you think of every single person in the world that's in shape, they don't all eat the same thing. They don't all follow the same diet. They don't all follow the same calories, but they're all in a calorie deficit to obviously lose weight. So you could be in a 100 calorie deficit or a 200 calorie deficit. it doesn't really matter. As long as you're obviously in that deficit, your rate of progress will just be a little bit different. But the best thing to do is have your staples and minimize. What I would say is minimize your snacks when you find it hard to track, because you can only eat so much in one sitting. So like I said, if you were on 1,500 calories and you had 500 for breakfast, 500 for lunch, 500 for dinner, you're not going to be too far away from that from a best guess. Whereas if you're adding in trying to do snacks, you're going to have more room for error. Anything else on that, Charlie?
No, mate, I like that suggestion around kind of, building or at least if you're struggling to do the whole day, then just having like a spine of breakfast and lunch that you know what it equates to, so that you can have a bit more leeway.
Yeah. And and like I said, the things that make it easier is if you know you have higher dinners, be smarter in and around your choices in the day. Like, don't go and have a massive bowl of oats if you know you have loads of rice and noodles all mixed in together for your dinner. Just pick, like, you'd go for a more just protein and fruit based breakfast. But like, if you create like a template like you would, and you had 1,500 calories and you were to split that over 3 meals, you'd have 500 in each meal. If you were to split that over 5 meals, you'd might have I'm testing my knowledge here, aren't I? You'd go with my maths, you'd have 400 for breakfast, 400 for lunch, 400 for dinner. That's 1,200. That leaves you 300. That means you could have 2 snacks at 150 calories. Do you know what I mean? Sign me up as an accountant, Charlie.
I don't know about that, mate.
But yeah, but you learn to build like a template structure, and obviously that makes more sense. So if you look at your day and you be like, right, my normal, like I said, if I'm using my example before, in an ideal world, I would have my 0% fat Greek yogurt, which is 250 calories. But I went to Tesco's, Waitrose, Co-op, the Island Short and Greek yogurt, but it's full of grenade bars. I would just that day pick a grenade bar. So that grenade bars are in and around 250 calories. Okay, the protein, carbs and fats may be a little bit off. But if it stopped me going for a pizza for a snack because we'd run out of ice cream and it enables me to stay full, it's okay. Do you know what I mean? It's not perfect, but if I had 250 calories, it's 250 calories. I'm not going to go up in weight. I'm not really going to go make any backward steps. So that, hopefully that makes sense. Next thing, I'm going to come back to carbs and fats, which we spoke about at the start, Becky. So carbs and fats. So this comes on to a lot of you who track steps as cardio. So if we see carbs is your body's primary energy source. So the simplest way to think of this is if we used a baseline heart rate of 100, 120 beats per minute, anything below that, your sedentary sort of walking, you're using your body fat storage. That's your fats. Your fats are important for like your hormone production and your daily need. They sort of keep the body ticking, keep it alive, especially for obviously you females. Having fats and a baseline of fats is important. For a healthy amount, most people say it's about 0.6% of your body weight. On a diet, you can push that down to like 0.5%, so like 50% of your body weight. So for example, if you weigh 60 kg, you can push that down to 30. On a diet and a short period, you can push that a little bit more. And the reason you can do that on such a short period of time is because on a diet, the most important thing and the most reason people give up is they get tired, hungry, low on energy, cravings. Having a bit of a higher carb diet enables you to sort of satisfy them cravings, and you get more bang for your buck having carbs. Carbs isn't just bread, pizza, pasta. Carbs is also obviously your fruit, your veg, etc., your oats. So, and obviously there's a lot of fiber in your veg, which keeps you full. That is why you'll probably see I opt for a slightly higher carb over a slightly higher fat diet. And the reason it's okay to push your fats is you will not stop hormone production on an 8-week diet. That is why I have reverse dieted out. That is why I have disagreed with. So one of the reasons I created ELIMIN8 was to counteract all the things I didn't like about other group coaching programs. Pushing people on, you've heard it all before, 800 calorie diets. They're like, people like obviously say they're bad, slag them off. They're obviously, if you ate 800 calories for a couple of weeks, you're probably not going to die. You're probably going to feel like absolute shit is the most political correct term I could say it, but you're probably not going to die. So the reason I keep sort of like a certain level of fats in and a certain level of calories, I've got blockers in my formula so that you don't go to that low, is because of hormone production. So when people say you can't, that's not sustainable to be on like 1,000 to 1,100, 1,200, I completely agree. But the part of a diet is, it's not meant to be sustainable. The idea is get yourself to a position, get yourself to where you're feeling confident, and then reverse yourself back out of it. And then obviously you go again. If we all had a year to do this, we probably wouldn't be pushing sort of the numbers that we are. But the reason we can do it, because it's not meant to be sustainable. And the reason we go for more carbs over fat is because carbs, you get more calorie of a gram of carbs is 4 calories, whereas a gram of fat is 9 calories. So you're almost getting double your calories for the same amount of macronutrients, if that makes sense. So like there's been studies proven, and having a higher carb diet vis a higher fat diet, there's been no scientific evidence in terms of which one loses more weight. But from personal experience and trial in both, I tend to stick to a diet better and longer, and so do clients who I've worked with, because they get more energy through the carbohydrates, especially when they're training. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I know obviously people on this call have probably lost weight through keto, and I get it. Like, you will lose weight through keto because you're wiping out a food group. It's like if I said you don't have any fats, you can't have any fats in your diet, you're going to lose weight as long as you're hitting the same, you're wiping out a certain amount of calories that you can eat. It's like if you went on Lent and went, like, you can't have any confectionery, sweets, chocolate, crisps, biscuits, etc., you're probably going to lose weight because you're eliminating a food group that you can eat. It's the same way. But the reason people stick to these diets longer on a high carb is mainly based around energy, performance, satiety. So I can go into things for like hours and hours on carbs and fats, but does that give the basis as to why I am going for them sort of splits? And obviously I think a few people have had comments on they struggled hitting the carbs and fats. I think Jazz, you said it before. It's not, don't stress, do not stress. If you're slightly higher on your fats and slightly under on your carbs, it's not the end of the world. Remember, if your weight has come down, you're learning about it, what needs to be done for next week. There is no reason to stress because you have done what you needed to do that week. If your weight spiked up 5 kilos, that's a worry. That's an issue. That's something I need to take care of. But if it's going down, you're learning how to track. You're learning how to see what sort of macronutrients are in each food, and weight's coming down. That's a win. Do you know what I mean? So don't stress. Just try your best. The targets are in there. I do take carb and fat targets out for some people, and I do it with my one-to-one coaching as well. I'll just give them protein and calorie targets. So they're in there to help you, because I think that's the most optimal split. But if it's not optimal in terms of it doesn't help you with your lifestyle, then obviously we can change the percentages from carbs and fats. So I think that should cover, that's pretty much self-explanatory. So like I said, when you sort of go above 120 beats per minute, like any exercise, sort of weight training, cardio, you're using your carbohydrate sources. So that's why you want a slightly higher carb, because you want more optimal performance during them sessions. Like if you went into a weight session with 0 carbs, you're not going to lift as well as if you went in having a high carb split. So, and then that's another form of progression why some people believe keto is not as effective as having a split with carbs in it. So hopefully that makes sense. The next thing is talking about calorie swaps. I touched on it already. The main thing to think about is lower fat alternatives. So if you can get a lower fat alternative for something. So for example, Greek yogurt, if you can pick 0% over natural whole yogurt, if you can do the same with beef, 5% beef over 10%, 20% beef, 2% turkey mince over 10% beef, you're going to save yourself a lot of calories, especially on a diet. Like, the sort of protein sources I advise on a diet are lean meats, fish, lower fat alternatives, cooking light calorie sprays. I think, sorry to pick you out here, Brooklyn, but you put up an omelette in the group, and an easy way to bring the calories down on that omelette is maybe use one whole egg. So the reason I say keep a whole egg in is flavor. I personally don't like just an egg white omelette. So I keep one whole egg in, and then you can use 2, 3, 4 egg whites, and you're literally just having a straight source of protein whilst keeping the flavor. And like I said, using the light calorie sprays. There are a number of alternatives, and it goes for fizzy drinks as well. On a diet, 0 calorie drinks, for example, Coke Zero, Pepsi Max, an absolute godsend because they help with satiety for 0 calories. If anyone wants to touch on me and say, yeah, they go, Mira's drinking a Coke Zero as we speak. But
I've got to have a Coke Zero every single night. Otherwise I love sweet stuff. I love like sweets and chocolate and stuff. And I don't even think about it. Now that I have these, and I have them every single night, and I just buy the packs, and they're like £3. It's like £3 a week. And I used to not drink them because I used to think it was really bad for you. But when I'm on a diet, it really helps.
And if anyone's stressing about Coke and how having 0 calorie drinks is unhealthy and the side effects, I'll send you an article. They're absolutely fine to drink every single day. Keep them under 500 ml if you are worried. So 1 small can is absolutely fine. Just touching on the last couple of points are refeeds. I will come more into this. Like I said, I'm aware that I've just chucked a load of information at you. Week 1 is the worst thing because you've probably got the least amount of knowledge that you will have, because over the next 8 weeks will give you it. But it's the most information I give you because it's all about nutrition. It's the most important thing to hit. I would much rather everyone nailed their nutrition before they hit their steps and their workouts, because nutrition, you will and not lose weight unless you're in a calorie deficit. So I'll emphasize nutrition again. Make sure it's hit, make sure it's ticked off, make sure you do your best to hit targets. I have literally before with one-to-one, I've had clients ask me about training intensity, times of training, rest times without them hitting their nutrition. And I've literally said to them, you're not allowed to ask me another question until you hit your nutrition. And it's not me being a dickhead of a coach. Apologies for the language. It's about me just making sure they understand the importance of that. Next week, everything, nutrition was perfectly hit, weight came down, they were happy. And then obviously we moved on to the minuscule details that are important. So next thing I'm talking about is refeeds. So on these sort of 8-week challenges, ELIMIN8, things I've ran similar, a lot of people try and skip a refeed. They try, I don't need it, I can do it without the refeed. What is a refeed? A refeed is basically a day that enables you to replenish your glycogen, which is your energy stores. That is the most important thing. So it enables you on a diet. Imagine what we've got. We're trying to empty your tanks. We're trying to empty your current energy stores so that we start using your second tank, which is your body fat. That's what we want to start chipping away at. The problem is if you start emptying everything, you've got no energy to move, no energy to lift, no energy when you get home. All you want to do is sit on the sofa and watch Jeffrey Dahmer overdoing the washing. That is the kind of thing that happens when you drain your energy stores. You end up like you've seen tonight that I've been speaking a lot with my hands. When you completely drain your energy stores, your body naturally tries to balance itself out. So you will literally stand there, speak like a thumb. You'll just be a thumb with a mouth. That is what you become. I need to come up with better analogies, don't I? But you literally, your body will stop moving. So what this having a refeed day does, it puts all your energy stores back in. So for just a few calories that bring you back up to maintenance, and your body's like, wait, I've got all this extra energy. I need to use it. I need to move my hands. I need to run, jump, skip to work. And then obviously you put yourself back into the diet for the rest of the week. You're creating a bigger energy balance. So there are two main reasons for that. And then the second one, obviously, the one's to move, make sure you keep moving. The second one is all about adhering to a diet, making it easier. So if we were all Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilders, the chicken, broccoli and rice, we would be using our refeed day to recover from our heavy leg day, from our squats and our leg press, etc. And we'd be putting in extra carbohydrates in and around that day. We're not bodybuilders. We're normal human beings who like fun, who like a social and like a cocktail. Some of us, obviously more than others, Amira, Jade, like a bit more of a drink than others, but we will let them away with it because they're young and they're able to. So that is what we put in. I put in a refeed day. It's to allow you to have socials. It allows you to be able to fit in them social life. It comes to Saturday night, everyone's going Pizza Express. You feel obliged to get the salad. Do you know what I mean? And everyone's getting the pizza. You feel left out. You're going to want to give up on the diet. Giving you that 300 to 500 calories extra enables you to maybe get the Lagara pizza, makes you feel involved, makes you to have a drink. It enables you to get a pasta at an Italian over getting, don't know, a side salad of veg. Do you know what I mean? And I know a few people on the call personally, and this will help a lot with that. It also takes a stigma away from dieting. You do not have to be boring. Like, you will need to make sacrifices, and we'll come on to that when we talk about staying on track at weekends, but it just allows you that little bit more flexibility to still enjoy your social life and not feel that you're summoned to eliminate and you're not allowed to speak to your mates for 8 weeks. That's not what we're going for here. We're going for to enjoy life while dieting. My job, I say dieting is simple, it's not easy. And what I mean by that is the basis of a diet is to be in a calorie deficit. The reason it's not easy is because you will be hungry, you will be tired, you will be narky, and that is because we're giving your body less energy than it needs. If you go through a diet without feeling hungry, you're probably not in a deficit. You're not using your body fat stores. That is what's triggering you to say, look, I'm hungry, I need more food. But it's also a massive trigger in saying, do you know what I'm doing is working, because obviously my body's telling me I need more food. My job is to make it easier for you by telling you the right sort of foods to eat, telling you the right sort of tricks to make. And one of the most important things for that is making sure you adhere to the diet for that long, for the next 8 weeks. And that is obviously through your socials. So has anyone got a big weekend coming up that we can quickly use as an example? Come on, the young girls, there's a young team on the call. Hannah, Ellie, Chloe.
I have the boxing business white collar event in the first week of November.
Yes.
So obviously that's 3-course meal and it will be boozy.
Yeah, that is one day, Jamie, where we probably have to write off that we're probably going to go over on calories. Like, I'm going to it. It's, if we had 365 days of the year and you went over that day, and you were in a deficit for 364 days, do you think you're probably still going to be in a deficit for the rest of the year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And these are the things, and then it becomes a matter of damage limitation. It's same as when it's weddings and your best mate's birthday, your partner's birthday. They're sort of things where we come to like damage limitation, and it's what we do. Like, for example, some people say, well, don't eat, you're going to have your 1500 calories at the boxing. But then what that does is, I'll talk, I don't want to go into too much detail now, I will go into it, but next week's topic, I'll make sure we talk about staying on track at weekends and alcohol. But you physically can't store alcohol as body fat, but what it does, it messes up your hormones and leaves you feeling hungry. So by Tuesday, Wednesday, you're ready to crash on the diet. Do you know what I mean? How many times have you gone out on Saturday night and not been hungry on Sunday, yet Tuesday, Wednesday, you're ready to smash a horse? So we will talk about that. But if it was a normal meal, so for example, let's say we're going for dinner and drinks. On a normal, if you're out for dinner, let's say you're not drinking, I would say you would pick yourself 1 to 3 courses, and you'd say, for example, we've got a high day and we've got 1600 calories. You sort of plan your meal around to be 1000 calories, right? that means throughout the day, you would try and create 600 calorie diet. So you might have a 300 calorie breakfast, 300 calorie lunch. You would save yourself 1,000 calories for the meal. If you were drinking, you probably got the same sort of method. You've probably got to round that meal out as 1,000, but rather than picking 2 or 3 courses, you probably stick to the 1 course and have a few drinks. That is the best way to stay on track at weekends. And we will dive a lot deeper into that. But that is probably the most important factor, is you round off a number, a safe number, an honest number, and then you make the rest of your day work around that. And then what you try and do is you may do a couple of extra steps that day, etc. But the reason I don't really tell people to drop their calories, you probably see loads of coaches say, drop your calories in the week, save up for the weekend. The reason I don't like doing that is you're going to leave yourself hungry. And yes, it may be effective for that day and that week, but it doesn't take into fact that next week your hormones are imbalanced and you've gave yourself less food all week, and then you've gone and had a higher day. So the imbalance between your lower day and your higher day is massive, which is going to leave you feeling hungry the next day, which is why I'm not a big fan of dropping extra calories when you're already in a deficit. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's why we don't undereat as well. So you'll probably see that a lot of people, when you get given like a 1,500 calorie, I keep using this number, and they end up eating like 1,100, 1,200. That's not the aim. My calories are there for you to try your best to get the most out of it. You'll see, obviously, it does come down. That's the nature of a diet. The reason it comes down is because technically let's say an 80 kilo person needs 2,000 calories, a 70 per kilo person needs 1,500. By the time, if you're losing weight, your calorie allowance should come down. It's a way of making sure you've got a revolving deficit, that you're constantly in that deficit as your weight comes down, so they're linear. And obviously it is an 8-week rapid fat loss. The calorie side is on the a little bit of aggressive side, but that's the idea of why things come down. So we don't want to be creating a further deficit, because it will leave energy imbalances and it will just sort of tire you out and make you want to give up. I'm aware that's been 45 minutes and that is information overload by the multiple. It's, in summary, the main thing that I think we need to take away from today is meal structure is probably going to be your best friend. And that, by the meal structure, I mean how many meals you have in a day, then you break down your protein, and then you sort of do protein, veg, salad, etc., and then you add your carbs in. That's where you probably, and you start each meal with protein. That's where you're going to make the biggest progress. The next thing is obviously maximizing your calories. So we start talking about like lower fat alternatives, stocking up on fruit and veg, picking leaner cuts of protein, making 0 calorie swaps, etc. And then carbs and fats. The reason if you can and you're good at tracking, try and go off the macros I've set. If not, and you're hitting your protein and you're staying within your calories and you're still making progress, there is no need to stress. You're still making progress. And we come through, which I'll talk about when we go through weekends, different methods for weekends. Like some people might, like I gave Jamie an example there, you might have a free meal. So you might have whatever you want as long as it's under 1,000 calories. Some people might be planning ahead, etc. It's all dependent on where you're going. But that's a topic that at least half an hour anyway. So I don't want to go on into that tonight. And then any questions before I announce the Fakeaway 500 winner?
Yes.
What's your question, Jade?
I just want to ask that, just what you said. So would you say then, if we're going out just to automatically, just say for our calories sake, like we write them down on the sheet and stuff like that, just make it 1,000 if we're going out?
It depends on the night. Like, are you out this weekend?
No, not as far as I'm aware. I'm just thinking about last weekend, because obviously I was away.
Yeah, it's a bit different when you're away. And like, I'm not one of these coaches who make people track when they're on holiday. I'm more about like, you live your life and we create a lifestyle that enables you to stay on track. But what I would do, say for example, like you're eating normal food and you're just out for drinks. if you know what you drink, try and track it. So for example, let's say like I drink Coronas, and I know Coronas is 150 calories, right? If I have 5 Coronas, that's about 750. Please no one check my maths today, but let's call let's call it 750 calories, and I've got my higher day is 1750. Yeah, I would make sure my food for that day is 1,000 calories because I'm having them 5 Coronas at 750. The reason, like I would say, track alcohol is you are on a diet. You do want to reach goals. You do want to maximize your nutrients, which I'll talk about when we talk about the staying on track at weekends. So if you know what you drink, it takes 2 seconds to go into MyFitnessPal, Google, and type in calories in Prosecco or pint of Stella. I don't know what you drink, Jade, but like if you know what you drink, then you can make the alternatives in and around that. And I would say whilst you're on a diet for the next 8 weeks, avoid any unnecessary drinks. Like for example, like don't be getting around with tequila roses in just for the sake of it, because you are on a diet, you are trying to make that progress. It is for 8 weeks, and I'm not saying you can't drink for 8 weeks. I'm saying like just be sensible. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, the reason I'm not drinking tequila roses for the next 8 weeks is to do everyone I'm with a favor. Don't annoy them, don't badger them, but it's more to make sure like it's unnecessary. Like so let's call a shot 100 calories. If you have 3 shots, you're smashing through your calories as much as you are, and it hampers a lot of things such as your hormones. You've got 2 hormones which imbalance when you drink alcohol. So track, to answer your question, Jade, is if you know what you have and track it, understand what you have, give yourself a buffer of 2 because you know you'll probably have 2 extra than you said you would, and then make everything else fit for the day. So if you're not sure, and if you're not sure what you're drinking or you're not sure what the sort of plans are, then yes, save yourself an amount, but be aware that, say for example, if a drink's 100 calories and you've got a limit of 10 Prosecco's. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Know how many calories are in what you drink, and then set yourself a limit of that and be honest. Don't set yourself a limit of 4 drinks if you know you've never been to an event and only had 4 drinks. Okay, anything else from anyone?
Yeah, I've just got a quick question about the coaching log actually. How do I upload the photos each week? And is it each week?
The what? Sorry, Jazz, what was and
the photos, is it each week we need to do it?
Yeah, the reason we do it each week is we are only on an 8-week diet. With my one-to-one clients, I do get them to do sometimes every other week. But one, it gives you structure and accountability. So if you know you're taking your photos every week, you're going to want to make sure you're not feeling in your photos, which is obviously good for me and it's good for you. And it enables me to see changes, especially for females in that 50 to 65 kg mark. Changes on the scales are quite minimal, and you often see a lot of a less change than say like a guy would. Like as a bloke, I know we have it a lot easier. So yes, you can say all you want on the next 8 weeks that dieting's harder for girls. I will agree with you. So feel free to screenshot that and pull it in your WhatsApp groups, whatever it may be. But it's it does help with structure and accountability, and it does keep you. It enables me to look at your changes to make sure in case the scales aren't moving. And we do have a topic on what to look for when the scales don't move, etc. And in terms of photos, you need to do it through Google Drive. So if you go to, depending on whether you're doing it on your phone or your laptop, if you go to Google Drive, there should be, and in your folder, if you go into progress pictures folders, pick the week, there's a little plus button, and the plus button should enable you, the plus button's in the bottom right, and it should enable you to put your photos in. If it doesn't, you might need to go through your settings into Google Drive, allow access to photos.
Okay.
But if not, post it in the group and let me know and I'll have a look at it. But that should be how everyone does it. You might need to go through Google Drive rather than Google Sheets.
Okay, right, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? No, we're good. Right. Like I said, please do get involved in the challenges. They obviously help with motivation and help inspire other people, bring out other people's confidence. You'll be surprised at what one of your comments could do for someone else. It might just inspire them and it might help them stay accountable. So we do have next week's challenge. All these challenges build into some prizes that I've got for the overall. So the biggest prize is obviously you win your money back, you get ELIMIN8 for free. So keep going, and there's not just who participates the most, it's like things like most progress, who does take part in all the challenges, who comes in the group, who helps people, etc., who's on time with check-ins. So try and keep in ELIMIN8 as much as you can. Next week's check-in is who can give me the best sweaty selfie. We're going for the most sweaty selfie. We were going to go for the most scenic view on their walk, but we're going for the most sweaty selfie after their workouts. That's what we want to go for. We want to have a little bit of fun. That's next week's challenge. You've got all week up until Sunday to get it in the group. If you're feeling confident, get it on the gram and tag me. And the winner for
Jade's face. Jade, you're my gym partner, so you can't let me down.
I thought you were about to say, Jade, we haven't started yet, but we'll go ahead and you've interrupted me. The winner of the Fakeaway 500, I think if anyone's seen the photos based on the look, the presentation, the calories, was Amelia's curry. Well done, Amelia.
Well done.
Thank you. Bye.
Right, guys. Yeah, big thanks. The calls will be a lot shorter than this. Any questions, get them in the group. Any comments, get them in the group. You will help each other. Hopefully that gave you a lot of information. Anything else, please do let me know. But other than that, have a wonderful evening. If anyone wants to take a photo of the Zoom chat and put it on the Instagram, it obviously helps me with my marketing and social for next ELIMIN8, which I'll be running straight off the back of it. So please do that. Other than that, have a wonderful evening and I will speak to you within the week. Excellent work for the first week, everyone. Really happy. Well done.
Thank
Logan, are
you.
you still okay
Yeah,
to chat to me? Have a great week.
Lorraine, stay on the call. Everyone else.
All right, thanks.
Bye. Bye. Thanks, Logan. Bye.